LostinTranslationmon. I'm May.
And I'm Jay.
And this time we watched Going to Hong Kong, Protect the Super Beauty Idol.
And Taigiru turns soft, Gumdramon's big crisis.
I'm glad I'm kind of glad that you forgot to mispronounce until like halfway and you were like, oh no, what do I do? I'll say Gumdramon a bit strangely, alright. And we also watched Delicious or Nasty, the Digimon Ramen contest.
Also, can I just say, as far as the titles go, the Crunchyroll version of the second episode is Taigiru goes limp.
Yeah, that's like, being lethargic, sort of like...
Look, I know what it means, but it's very weird still.
I think limp is I don't know, I feel like that's a better... I have to look at the actual kanji used, because I'll see if I know it, because lately the titles have all been in kanji I can read, so I will just quickly look that up, because that'll be interesting.
Well, the problem is that none of them are accurate,
because
at the end of the day, he's just kind of tired.
It seems to be an onomatopoeia, not actually kanji, so that's unfortunate, because I don't actually know all the onomatopoeia, because it's hard. It's funya funya, so that is just limpness. Soft, limp, flabby, mumbling, talking with food in one's mouth. Mokidoki. So the example sentence is, the hat got wet and went limp. So it's kind of like, it's not really lethargic, it's more like the act of getting, like, sort of flopping, rather.
Okay.
Yeah, I just like looking up. Now I can sort of understand Japanese. It's kind of interesting learning vocab that way. Anyway, so I'm back from Japan. That's why we're doing a podcast. And Jay has the internet again. So that means we can do the podcast. So that's...
Sweet connection.
We're checking all the boxes of recording. So I read the latest V-Jump and I saw the 20-year-old Chosen and they're quite cute. Did you end up seeing that one? I can't remember if I shared it with you or not.
Are you asking me if I saw Digimon content? Of course I didn't.
Oh, I guess you've been just avoiding it for the whole time, right?
For my own sanity, yeah.
Yeah, I'll just quickly, if you can probably hear me type, I'm trying to find a picture of it because I don't actually have my V-Jump on hand. Okay, here's an image. I'll just send it in Discord. So this is the picture of the Chosen in the next anime series, which is coming out at some point. So if you wanted to check that in Discord, I've just linked you.
That image is tiny.
I think Discord actually gave a bigger preview, I think.
I think it has, yeah. They look fine. Taichi looks like he cannot let go of the past.
Yeah, he's kind of like Stars, I guess. Mimi's outfit's interesting. Like, it's sort of what I can imagine myself wearing back in that year, which I think is, also, Taigiru is just like, he's gone to the beanie phase, and I love it.
He always needs a hat.
But yeah, I think this is 2010, so this is sort of very 2010 styles, except for Koshiro, who's decided to wear a suit. Shrug.
Yeah, but he's a businessman,
yeah.
So he needs that.
And Joe looks great. I love him, because he's like he'd be our age in 2010, like he'd be like mid-20s, I think.
Well, how old would he be?
Well, it's...
Is he 25?
I think so. I think he was, 18 and... No, he was older than 18. He was like already in his 20s. I think he'd be 25.
Alright.
So,
I hardly believe it.
It's exciting, because,
Exciting is a word you could use.
And I would use that word. See, that was, that happened while I was in Japan, so I picked up that issue of V-Jump, and I ignored all the spoilers, so I didn't actually see that picture until I was in Japan and had the V-Jump in my hot little hands. So I also did the Digimon Escape Room. Everyone was right who said that their time limit is kind of troubling, because it was
too short.
Yeah, well, especially if you're not fluent in Japanese, the time limit is very short, especially when you have to read things and try to comprehend what they mean. But it's quite fun, and they've got the voice actor for Agumon, and they've got the voice actor for the narrator, so that was pretty cool. And what I also found out that day is that voice actress of Taichi passed away that day, as well, around that time as well, so that was sad.
Oh, the original Taichi?
Yes, the original Taichi in Japanese.
Yeesh.
So that's really sad. I believe breast cancer, same as Sora's VA, but I might be wrong with that.
Sad.
But it is very sad, and that's, a great voice. I always loved Taichi's voice in both versions, but yeah, so that, I don't know, it was sad, but...
At least you got try.
Yeah, I don't think that was the same voice actress, though.
I have no idea.
I think they might have gotten... In English, it was the same voice actor, but I'm not sure about Japanese. Anyway, so that's sort of a quick wrap-up. There's no separate news segment, because I'll be on the With the Will podcast this Sunday, so we should be releasing this episode on the Saturday, and then on the Sunday morning, I'll be on the With the Will podcast. So, like, 24 hours after this episode is public, I'll be on the Withable podcast, if that makes sense. Unless,
I tend to think so.
Unless I'm unable to have this edited by Saturday, which I doubt, because I'm pretty good, and it's Monday now, so I have a couple of days. And on to Obnoxious Synopsis. The first episode we're watching this week is called Going to Hong Kong, Protect the Super Beauty Idol. What do you think will happen this episode?
Is it Nene who's the idol? Remind me, it's been like a while.
Maybe. Oh yeah, well, yes.
They mentioned it.
You're right, it has been a while. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, oh my god, hold on, let me remember anything about Digimon. The break has dropped my encyclopedic knowledge down to only 95%.
That's fine, that's all you really need.
That's true, and all of it's for stuff that isn't this season.
Oh no, because all the stuff that's important is from last season. Anything that's enjoyable is from Cross Wars, the first 2 bits, sort of.
Remember how Jeremy showed up and it meant nothing? That was great.
Yeah.
I guess he's still around, isn't he? Anyway,
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about Digimon, and it's something they addressed in the Digimon World Tour, as much as we hated that, which is, hey, why would Digimon only appear in Tokyo, in this small area where these kids go to school? Because Tokyo's really big. At the very least in Tamers, they went on a train once, and you're like, oh, okay, makes sense, they'd be elsewhere.
Yeah.
So obviously there are Digimon in Hong Kong, but how it must be that you can teleport around the world through the VR world, because it is impossible that we're going to see like which movie like a Hurricane Touchdown thing where they go on an actual plane,
Yeah.
or the weird one on that island with the dog.
You have actually sort of said how they did it in your guess, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
I mean, I assume that it just shortcuts distances, but fair enough.
But at least you know it's the same country, right? Same continent.
I was going to say, like,
country.
Hong Kong's not the same country.
No, I meant it's really hot. It's so hot.
I'm aware.
It's like 40 in the apartment. Probably 50 actually.
It's
really
probably
hot
not
in
50. You'd be dead.
here. No. I mean, we've had 50-degree days in Australia before. Anyway.
Well, that's the middle of it.
At least they're the same continent, and it's not like they're going to the other side of the world or anything.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so what will annoy you besides physics?
It will annoy me if, like, Nene starts talking about, like, how it was always her dream to be an idol. Like, any weird inserted stuff that is out of character for her, given what we saw of her last season. And I guarantee that there's going to be a bunch of it, because how did she end up here? She's a costume designer, not an idol. She works backstage. No one can convince me otherwise.
This season just doesn't care, I guess. But I guess we'll find out. Do you think it'll be a good episode?
I don't. But it's Young Hunters. I don't expect it to be good. Remember that time they cooked a bunch of bad guys into a big okonomiyaki and it screamed at them?
I forgot about that. Why did you remind me? I was like, maybe Young Hunters isn't too bad, but then you reminded me. No, wait, it's terrible. What rating?
Like a 1 as an insult to the previous season, which is weird, because the previous season, like, I don't like it exactly. It was fine. But somehow you're insulting a thing I don't care about, and I'm still like, it's still worse because I have to watch it.
I'm not even going to ask the filler or not filler question.
Oh,
because,
everything is filler. Everything at all times.
I guess this episode would be like the least filler.
Why? Wouldn't it be more filler? Because it's not even in the same place where they tell the story.
Remember, we watched 3 episodes this week, and this is not filler. This episode's comparatively not filler, comparatively.
I don't believe you.
Well, we get a character reintroduced, I guess. I don't know.
Anyway. That doesn't make it not filler, you know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, it's arguably the least not filler.
No, that's not how that works.
Anyway, second episode. Taigiru turns soft. Gumdramon's big crisis. We've all had that issue at one point in our lives.
Wow.
What do you think will happen this episode?
I don't know. Like, is it gonna start talking about what the show's actually about, and he stops caring about being a hunter or something?
Jay, I watched this episode like a couple of days ago, and I don't even know what it was about. I can't remember.
Well, it's impossible for me to guess when it's not about anything.
Oh wait, no, I remember. Okay, continue. What will annoy you?
It's just constant, pointless, conflict between Taigiru and Gumdramon, because I don't care about either of them. So if either of them are upset, I don't care. I'm happy that they're upset.
Well, at least Gumdramon's nice.
Yes?
Sort of.
I mean, he's cute. I give him that.
He's so cute. He's purple. He's cute. I love him.
I love that that's the first thing you went with. It's not he's soft. He's not anything. He's purple.
It's just like Vmon and Shoutmon had a baby, and I like Vmon. Like I love Vmon. He's so cute. He's so cool. It's just like he's like a really good design for me. And I like Shoutmon. And Gumdramon's just, I mean, literally, red plus blue equals purple. He's just Gumdramon and he's just, Gumdramon just Shoutmon and Vmon. Anyway, did I ask what will you annoy you? Because I guess the whole
yes, I did
everything.
say that.
Because it's hard to know if I've actually asked you if it's so hot and I can't think, because your whole description of what you think will happen also sounds like things that would annoy you.
That is true, because I expect it to, you know?
Yeah. What, good episode?
No.
Rating?
2-0.
2-0.
2 zeros.
Like,
It's gonna,
2.0.
1 zero's not enough. It'll get 2 zeros.
Yeah, 2-0. 0-0 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
0-0 out of banana. I don't know.
To what?
Anyway, filler or not filler?
It is.
I'm
100%
just
filler at
done
all
asking
times.
that. I'm not going to ask that question anymore for 8 more
I've
episodes.
asked you
maybe.
not to ask me that anymore, and you're like, no, it's fine. I'll apply.
It's still in my notes. I don't know why I left it in the notes. Anyway, so third episode, which is one of the 5 episodes in this whole season I remember, Delicious or Nasty, which is a weird... I just want to... Before I read the rest of the title, Nasty, they use the word mazui, which is more like disgusting. I don't know why the subtitles went for nasty.
That's nasty.
I know it's weird to me because in Australian English, if something's nasty, just if you are mean to someone, you are being nasty.
No, but this is American English. It's nasty. That's gross.
I know, that's just weird though. But the word as in the subtitle, the Japanese is mazui, which is just disgusting. Anyway, so delicious or nasty, or delicious or disgusting, which is a better title.
Should be delicious or
by
gross.
The way.
That's what it means.
Yeah, delicious or gross. Yeah, whatever. Delicious or gross. The Digimon Ramen contest. What will happen this episode?
Oh my god, why do you remember that? Do you remember all the food-based ones? You're like, the Hamburgermon's my favorite.
Yes.
The ramen
okay,
one's
I like
my
food.
favorite.
I like food, and this was an okay episode. And also, I just came back from Japan, and my favorite ramen shop was one where instead of saying "irashamase," they would just yell at you "say," and then they would continue to stir the broth that they had and drop pork bones into it, like some magical buff witch, because it was really thick, so they were stirring it, and it was so I know he had huge muscles, and I don't know why, but it was magical, and they were very impressed with my Japanese. And to order food, you just went to a vending machine, clicked a button, gave them a ticket, and it was great. And they yelled "say" a lot, and I asked the Airbnb host what exactly it meant, and he was like, I don't know.
Isn't it just the end of Irashai? Just saying "shite."
That's no, but it wasn't se. It wasn't se. It had I at the end, and the only thing I could find on the internet was it's an exclamation "oh my," but I feel like they're just having fun.
Wait, hold on.
And it was only at this ramen place.
So if it's because I've heard about them shortening down Irashai Masen to Irashai, and then if you just shite, wouldn't that do it?
No, it was definitely say, and it was great, and I loved them, and they were my favorite, and made really good ramen. And I also went to a place which translates to unrivaled ramen, and that was really good too, or rather unrivaled shop ramen. That was good. They had really good meat. But yeah, ramen's good, and this episode was about ramen. You can tell by the title. What do you think will happen besides ramen?
No, I think ramen will happen.
Do you think anything will be stirred into the ramen, like the okonomiyaki episode?
I have no idea. I'm so lost with this season. It's all nonsense, man. It's all nonsense, and I'm so sick of it. We haven't even started watching it again. I'm like, oh right, I forgot what Digimon was like, and I want to die. You know how it is.
Yeah. I mean, I liked this episode because I like ramen, and it was, for some reason, it was sponsored by McDonald's. That's one thing I noticed, but also, the ramen just looked really good.
McDonald's.
Also, for some reason, it reminded me of, Digimon Savers a little bit. But the worst thing is, and, I may as well tell you the worst thing is, of course, it's a Digimon episode, so they have to put in a fight, but it does not need a fight.
I don't think I understood you.
Anyway, so I guess you will soon. So what do you think will annoy you?
Just it being a huge waste of time. The fact that, unless it's a thing where they're the okonomiyaki shop. And the reason I don't think it's that is because they did it within the last 4 episodes. So if it's some kind of weird Digimon ramen shop inside the VR field, then just the question is, why would the good guys spend a whole day hanging out there? Just doing that. And the only answer is because they have no sense of time, or it doesn't matter because there's nothing for them to do. And I guess my concern is it's gonna just all feel totally directionless, because it is.
Good episode?
No.
Rating?
-1.
Oh, that's sad.
Why is it sad?
Any other predictions?
Have you seen it?
Because
is it
I
good?
liked it. Yeah, I liked. Oh no, I've seen this episode. I've watched all these episodes for the next episode. I liked this episode.
If you insist.
As I said, it had a problem of it didn't need to have a Digimon fight, and that was forced. But it also just felt like another Cross Wars episode, which maybe it's not so good remembering that Cross Wars episode existed, and it's the one where they make it's like the Iron Chef episode, kind of, I guess. It reminded me of that a little bit, and it's not as good as that, but it's still good. I like this episode. But yeah, any other thoughts about these things?
I have nothing to say because I don't know anything. I'm an empty vessel. My Digimon energy is low, which I'm really happy about.
Yeah, well, I guess onto the show. So episode 64 starts off with a Trailmon, specifically the ducky-looking one, dropping off the characters somewhere, and it turns out that they're able to time shift into Hong Kong from where they were taken. So this sort of...
Is this not the worst intro to an episode?
I think it's fine, because at least it gives them a reason of how they get to Hong Kong without parents. Like, it makes a lot more sense than they go on a plane for no reason, and they're 8 years old, and it's all fine. Who pays for all this?
Let me recontextualize that for you. Rather than that, imagine that you're these kids, and every single day you're dealing with Digimon who are evil and try to kill people. Right?
Yep.
Now, you're in the Digiquartz, and a train approaches and says, "Hop in!" And they go, where are you going? And the train goes, "It's a surprise!"
Look, not all Digimon are evil. We know that...
No, but understand the context in which a lot of the ones they have met are evil.
Yeah.
And then this thing, they have no reason to trust because they don't know it's in communication with Nene at all.
Well, we do need an extra scene where it's like, it's one of Shoutmon's like loyal subjects or something. Because remember, Shoutmon is the Digimon king, so he would have Digimon working with him, right? So this would be like
he doesn't have people in the Digiquartz. They're just randoms. Like Gumdramon was running away.
Yeah, but this wasn't the Digiquartz, this part.
Yes, it was.
I thought it was Digital World, because it was all like...
You can't time shift into the digital world.
But why did...
You time shift...
I've got an image, I think, a screenshot that I took, I believe, of this this scene because it was just badly...
You time shift in and out of the quartz.
Okay, so I've got it. I only took this screenshot, mind you, because of the terrible facial expressions they all have. They all have, like, dot eyes. And it does look like the digital world, but they've added, like, purple splotches, which I think signifies Digiquartz. So, I guess they are in the Digiquartz, so I guess you're right. But
yeah, I am.
No, you're right.
I have encyclopedic knowledge of Digimon. Yep. So they're in the Digiquartz, and a Digimon says, "Get on this train. We're going somewhere." And they either don't ask where, or they ask where, and the thing refuses to tell them. And they go, "Yeah, all right, I'll get on that."
They time shift, and suddenly they're in Hong Kong. So they find out that because, and yeah, Jay's totally right about this. It is a bit weird. They sort of just say, "Hey, why are we here?" And the Trailmon says, "You'll find out." And yeah, this actually gets weirder and weirder the more you think about it, and I sort of accepted all this weirdness, but... So we find out that Nene is what called the Trailmon.
No, you're skipping a big problem here.
No, I'm just going to highlight this problem just while I'm thinking of it, and then Nene seems to be unsure of what's happening at the moment, and she completely has no idea what the Digiquartz is or anything that's going on at the moment. So how is she able to summon a Digimon?
The one thing I will say is that when they mention the Digiquartz, she doesn't ask what is that, which is something you would expect. Yeah. So presumably she does know what it is and to an extent what's happening in there.
Right.
But you think of some just really basic stuff, and I know it's fridge logic to a point, but like they first show up in this place and they go, "Ooh, a roller coaster." That's a thing kids do. Hong Kong has a different currency to Japan, so how did they purchase their way onto a roller coaster? But that's fridge logic, I get that. Then they show up in the city, and Nene's limo rolls up next to them. She could not have known where they would end up in the city, that they would have gotten on a roller coaster. So was she just driving around the city and hoping to find them?
I like to believe she was.
Because they're surprised, which means there's no contact. And there's literally no possible way she planned for them to be where they met.
Yes.
Because it was random.
Yes.
So, this feels like the most contrived thing in the world, that no one writing this had any plans. They just wrote down, and then Nene picks them up. And not a single person looked at it and said, like, how?
Yes.
Because it doesn't matter.
You're right.
Because Digimon is about getting from point A to point B, and it literally does not matter what anyone does or says in the process.
Yeah, and if you put
Episode 3 today is a lot like that.
Yes. It's very much like, oh, we have to make a Digimon episode in all these episodes. I guess in all episodes forever, they just have an idea which could be working for any series, and they say, hey, but what if Digimon... And yeah, its problem with like a lot of these episodes is at face value they seem okay, maybe a little bit boring, but like okay. And then when you put any thought into it, it seems to not have too much logic. And my next problem has to do with when Nene shows up. We have a shot of her getting out of the limo, and she says hello and she talks. And like her anatomy makes no sense. Her breasts are about just right after her neck, coming out of like her collarbone. And I just sent her a photo of it to the Discord if you would like to check.
Oh, I honestly, I don't think... I could be wrong, but the power of push-up bras is strong.
No,
that's all I'm trying to say.
not collarbone. Like, breasts do not come out of that high. Even no matter how high your push-up bra is, it will not push up past the bottom of the collarbones. Hers just coming out of her shoulders. Like, it doesn't... Like, you need to look at that picture and tell me if that makes any sense. And also, all of their legs... all of the characters in that...
all of their legs.
Oh, no, all of the legs of the characters in that shot also make no sense because they're so thin. Like...
How is Taigiru so tall?
I don't know, I feel like he's never been that tall before, but I guess he's a tall boy.
He's taller than Taiki, who's older than him.
Well, it is possible for people who are younger to be taller than their older people.
This is like primary school, where that doesn't happen.
Yeah, people still have, like, different growths. Also, no, my point is the anatomy in general just is not good.
Yes. You mean the art in Digimon is bad? Oh, no.
Oh, but, like, the art's been fine in Digimon before. Tamer's had a fine art style. Like, all the anatomy made sense in other seasons of Digimon. I'm not sure why this one is just, like... They lost it at Mervamon, who has anatomy that makes no sense at all, and then for some reason this season they all took notes from Mervamon and have breasts coming out of their shoulders now, apparently, because that's how anatomy works. What is happening? Like, I can't draw. I'm not an artist. But surely I have an idea of where breasts come out.
You'd hope so.
Like, they're a little bit too high. Like, come on. You're being paid to draw this. Put a little bit of... Like, look at some naked ladies or clothed ladies and work out where the breasts come from. Also, she's 13. Why has she got boobs like that?
Well, you just said that it's possible for some people to be taller than others at different ages. Doesn't that answer your question?
Yeah, but I don't know. The whole thing just makes no sense. And that screenshot makes no sense. And... this whole episode is just bad and they ruined Nene and I'm annoyed. Anyway, so there's a creepy Digimon and for some reason they decided to change Taigiru's, like, entire personality again and they just put Zenjiro's personality from last season into Taigiru where he's just super obsessed with Nene all of a sudden and he just acts really weird to Nene, which is just, I don't know, it seems again a different personality of Taigiru and yeah... The Digimon are all talking to their crossloaders because it's this nice, like, reunion and Nene's hungry and completely forgets what she's about to talk. She's, like, saying, oh, but there's a reason I called you guys. Oh, wait, no, I'm hungry. That's not her personality. If a car...
Nothing she does here seems in line with her personality.
None of this is at all... Like, it would make more sense if all of what she was doing, like this whole idol thing, was just another disguise, because that was her thing. Like, she would disguise and she would say, hey, I'm a reporter, or hey, I'm an investigator, or hey, I'm a Digimon with called Flower Powermon. Like, that was all her thing, like, having disguises and coming up with, like, personalities. It would make sense if this whole thing was to draw out a Digimon, but no, it's not that.
To be completely fair, she did end up in a line of work somehow where she gets to dress up a lot.
Yeah, but it's still like...
But you'd think she'd be an actress, not an idol.
Well, she's an actress, because idol is just all kind of triple threat.
I know, but like an idol is very specific. She never seemed like she was a singer before.
No.
And the worst part about it, and it is legitimately awful, is that when they give you the flashback, trying to explain how this happened,
it's in her outfit.
She never says why she wants to be an idol. She just says she does.
Also,
like Eri, who had a great reason to want to be an idol.
The worst part is, if, you know, it'd be more than a year or something between the seasons, and she had some growth or change, but we see the flashback. She's wearing her last season outfit, so it's implied it basically happened at the same time as last season, and we had no inkling to her wanting to become an idol. Actress, sure. Or if there was sort of, she said at the end of the episodes, actually I became an idol because I needed to draw out this Digimon that was weirdly obsessed with me, and I needed to like have to be in the public eye to draw this Digimon out, and I had to be an idol. That would suit her personality from last season, but they don't do that. They just have her apparently always wanting to be an idol, and she came out, and her father, who is meant to be like the bad guy of this episode, spoilers, has a completely legitimate reaction of, you're kind of springing this on me. You are 12. I worry about you. I don't want you to go into a different city, a different country.
Yeah, a different country.
Like,
I forgot to contextualize that she was 12 when she asks to try for a high-risk career as a celebrity in another country.
Yeah,
she doesn't even say, like, I've got an agency, there's, like, stuff in place. She's like, I'm gonna go there and try.
Yes, and this is from nothing. If this was her ambition from earlier on, fine. If she was like 16, fine, you know, she, like, the dad would be seen as a villain, like, the dad's, like, stopping her from wanting to do what she wants. She's a child, and she suddenly drops this whole, like, hey, I'm leaving now to a different country with no expertise in the matter. I go to school, and I'm just leaving now. Like, the dad, completely legitimate reaction of, like, being overprotective and saying, hey, don't do that. Like, are we meant to believe that the dad is being unfair to his child? Sure, support is important, but he could have, like, I don't know, like...
It has to be blind and unconditional.
Like, I'm pretty sure he even said, oh, what about if we work towards this, or, you know, take it, it's a bit sudden. Like, he even says, this is sudden. Like, and if Nene had a reason for doing this because she needed to hunt it out a Digimon or something, then that's fine. She has no reason. This has apparently always been her ambition. It makes no sense, and the dad is completely justified, and we're meant to, like... I think we're meant to be mad at the dad for not being supportive.
As I was saying, if your support for your child is not so blind and unconditional that you'll yeet them across the continent to strike out on their own when they're 12 in a foreign city with no experience, then you're a terrible dad.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he could have been more supportive, like a little bit like, hey, okay, we'll look out some agencies together. I don't want you to jump countries suddenly, but we can still do this. Like, sure, that's support, but I completely understand him saying, like, this is sudden, don't leave countries, please, you're a child. Like, that's legitimate. But, I don't know, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? Like, we're meant to say, oh, the adults are so mean, they're stopping us from doing what we want to do. But I'm just like, no, the adult's good, that's reasonable. Let's not put children in another country suddenly, randomly, and... I don't know, it's annoying. This whole episode is annoying and bad, and I feel like it's bad, like...
You're right, Digimon is badly written, I agree.
It's not bad because it's boring, like, if it had, like, any...
It's low quality.
Like, if it had any thought behind what was going on, like, and if this made any sense for Nene to suddenly want to do this, as I said, have her hunt out a Digimon, disguises and acting is kind of like what she was doing, murdered in that, you could have done that easily, and still had the episodes the same way. Make the dad a little bit more evil. I don't know, or make it just a Digimon. Like, remove the dad aspect together, just make it a Digimon who's creepily stalking her. It doesn't need to have the dad.
Speaking of creepy stalkers, how did the dad get the power to, like, be a ninja?
Harpymon, I guess.
Also, I guessed, in every single episode, I guessed something would happen ahead of time, because the show was hilariously predictable. Once I sort of knew what was going on, like, Obnoxious Synopsis is one thing, where I have to blind guess everything. Once the episode starts, I knew that in this, like, this one's the lowest, because it's Harpymon. Oh, that's fine. The next episode, yeah, in both of the next two episodes, I totally guess what the solution to the primary conflict is going to be. From, like, sometimes pretty close to when it's revealed, but at the same time, it's really evident if I had been thinking about it and not hating that I was watching Digimon.
Oh, yeah. The thing with Young Hunters is it's very predictable. You can sort of call everything that happens. I did guess in this one. Pardon?
There was a time when they're sort of fighting the masked dude, and I think back in the episode and I go, there is literally no one in this episode it could be behind that mask other than her dad.
Except for nobody, like just a random stalker.
Yeah, unless it was a total random, which would be even more of a waste of time than it already was. But like to teach them a lesson, it has to be someone that she knows and be like, oh, your behavior caused this in some way, right? Otherwise it would be totally relevant.
No, the thing is, it's not even her behavior that caused it. The episode frames it in the way that it is
her behavior is a trigger. No, her behavior is a trigger for it. Whether or not that's right is not the issue.
Yeah, but the way it's framed isn't because, like, oh, Nene, it was your sudden, random, and impulsive and immature reaction to, hey, I'm just going to leave the country now, okay, bye.
Well, I totally agree with you.
Like, it wasn't framed in that way. It's framed in, man, that dad was just too overprotective, wasn't he? Wasn't he horrible? He didn't want his daughter to go and fulfill her dreams or whatever. Like, he is framed as the bad guy. I'm in 100%
agreement.
Yeah, he is framed as this bad guy. And it's all framed as his fault. And it's not his fault. It is her fault.
100%.
Nene has this selfish and impulsive decision with no background or any expertise prior. And if they had this whole thing last season where she wanted to be an idol, no, she was like this mysterious girl in one season, and then the second season she would dress up and act and report on and investigate happenings. Like, that would be fine. If she was a news reporter or something for like an indie sort of news thing, that's fine. If she was, as I said, a Digimon investigator, how cool would it be if she was like this Digimon happening as investigators? Because surely this Digicourts thing, this is a global thing, right? She would notice this.
Yeah.
So she would, if she noticed that there was something going on in Hong Kong, and she'd be like, okay, I have to have a reason to go to Hong Kong, and she just comes up with this. If they put any thought into it, it could have been fine. And
I agree.
They could even keep
but
the dad
I'm
being
getting at
concerned.
a totally different thing here.
Yeah?
I'm talking about, like, the basis of a mystery story. Because at its heart, this is meant to be a mystery story, right?
Yeah.
You're meant to be like, oh, who is this masked man? Who could it possibly be? But the problem is that those things are based on you having multiple potential suspects. And the way that the episode is formulated, if you think about it for, like, 2 seconds... basically after, I think, his second appearance.
Yeah.
Because there is, like, a moment where you go, oh, maybe, like, the security guard is the guy, and then he gets hit, so it can't be him, and, like, one of the agents, but then, like, they're obviously a part as well. And you can list every character who hasn't been in the room, and you're like, it's the dad.
Yes.
Immediately. So there's meant to be, like, a tension in mystery stories of, like, oh, who could it be?
Yeah.
I thought it was this guy, and I was wrong. All the clues said it might be this, and that was misleading, and red herrings, etc. There's no mystery here.
Yep.
And also, why does it... Okay, there's literally no reason for him to dress up in this crazy outfit.
No.
And it makes it...
To be a mystery. Like, he is dressed up because we know the character will recognise him, she would recognise him, and he's dressed up for the mystery, and...
But think about the ending of the episode, where if he just had a mask on, didn't have, like, the big purple robes and the weird super wig on... Like, okay, first of all, he could have been without a mask because, yeah, he might look like her dad, but in a crowd of, like, 100 people, you would never see him.
Also, he looks so generic.
And he's very... Well, not to her, she doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah.
But, like, for, like, people trying to find him in a crowd, when he's got this big, stupid pink hair that's like, blowing in the wind, it's like, he's over there.
Yeah.
Oh, he's so subtle. He's just brightly coloured over there.
Yep.
It's... This entire episode is contrived and ridiculous, and that's coming from Digimon.
And look, we've been complaining the whole time, and we haven't even touched the surface of the episode. Like,
I think we've talked about the whole episode, to be quite honest with you.
I guess I'll just breeze
Where we go,
through the rest.
Oh, what? So they went to this movie set, and he does an attack, and Taigiru stops a ninja, and it was a different ninja, because Nene decided not to tell him. By the way, yeah, I'm changed by Masked Man, but when you see the Masked Man with the sword, that's like part of the thing.
Yeah, I feel like that's another reason why he was dressed up, because of the masked guy. Also, it makes no sense. Like, why would you suddenly say, hey, the guy who just assaulted the team member, do you want to be a star? Like, why are you rewarding this guy who just knocked out and viciously... Also, like, sorry, can we just backstep again? Why has Taigiru all of a sudden got this amazing martial arts ability?
He's the captain of the wrestling club, that's why.
Yeah, but but this wasn't wrestling. This was just he kicked the guy in the face.
He's so good. He's also great at basketball.
Yeah, but this is awful. Like, he is an
more
awful
importantly,
character.
child labour laws. He's, 11?
Yeah, doesn't get the parents to sign anything, doesn't sign anything himself.
And also... Maybe his body type's a bit different to the middle-aged man he kicked.
But this...
Could you imagine an 11-year-old kicking an actor in the face and then being told, hey, you're exactly what we want on set?
He'd be super arrested. This impulsive little guy.
He would be arrested. He'd be taken offset by security.
I think he would be arrested. He just assaulted someone. Dude,
He's 11.
You kicked a guy in the face. Like, why? What? None of the decision-making in this show or this episode or anything makes sense. Like,
nothing.
Who wrote this and looked at it and I'm like, yep, this is good, this is fine, this is done. And then who looked at the episode when they were, working out what was happening, looked at it and went, oh, well, this is all reasonable then. Like, it's not... There is no logic to anything.
All 3 of these episodes feel like a group of writers who have had enough.
Yeah, they've given up. They said, well, we have to write 10 more episodes after this, or 15 episodes after this, rather, and only 5 of them are important. How about we just write whatever, like, we'll just roll a dice. We'll roll one of those kinky dice, and we'll just make up what happens. Because, like, it's just bad. Like, I'm just, like, who has the nerve to do this? Like, we've seen Digimon be good, and we've seen Digimon writing be good. We saw Appmon, which, sure, it had filler. It was a 50-episode series, it had filler. But every episode was charming, and every episode had logic. And when we did have filler, sometimes we'd have a guy just say, hey guys, don't we have, like, the big bad to fight? And it was always just... everything made logical sense. So we know that Digimon has the capacity to have some form of logic and not be annoying and nonsensical. And then this season is just, why? So I guess we'll go back to narrating the episode because we've just sort of grabbed bits and pieces. So yes, she's been stalking by someone who attacks and freaks out every time someone goes to shake her hand. And they go on set, she's playing a boy, but she's still wearing lipstick for some reason.
I don't think she's playing a boy. I think she's doing that because they knock her hat off as part of the thing.
Yeah.
So it's that the attackers think she's a boy, but she's not, and it's part of the character. Because I assume that an idol is going to be 20% playing themselves in anything they're in. I don't know.
Well, I did notice this thing when I was in Japan where there were all these ads for this thing, and it would look like it was this new acting thing, and there was a couple of versions, and it was just these two girls embracing each other, and one was kind of dressed up as a bloke, but she had I think she was wearing lipstick and stuff, but she was dressed up as a bloke, and she was holding this other girl, and it was looked like my dream, honestly. It was just I don't know what it was, because it was written in kanji. I didn't quite know how to read, and it was all stylized, so I'm not sure what it was. But there was ads for it on the train, and it looked cool. So maybe this is a thing in Japan where we have all these girls just dressing up as boys, but they still have feminine features. I'm not sure. Anyway, so this is where Taigiru sees a masked man, kicks him in the face with sudden martial arts ability, and it turns out he's an actor. Taigiru's now replacing him. Because that's realistic and everything. And then we find out that Harpymon's the Digimon with a stalker, which is another armor evolution, by the way. Yay.
It looks like one.
Yeah.
Don't yay this.
It's Hawkmon and LiT. Anyway, so we then go to flashback. Nene told her father this was her goal, to be an idol, and she wants to be in Hong Kong. For some reason, Hong Kong. Not sure why Japan doesn't work. I guess because if it was
Does Japan not have an idol culture?
It has the most. It has the most idol culture. So I'm not sure.
More idol culture than your body has room for.
I can only imagine they said Hong Kong for two reasons. One, to get her out of the picture in Young Hunters, because they needed to nerf the characters and just remove them. And
probably accurate.
Two, because if it was just I'm going to be an idol in Japan, the dad's reaction would be even more nonsensical. I mean, it makes sense, but it would make...
No, it would be the same, probably.
I mean, at least it's she's in the same country. She's not living on her own in another country. So the father was concerned, and it is... I don't know, it's reasonable. As I said before, it is incredibly reasonable. And I don't know, it's very sudden as well, because as I mentioned before, her outfit is the same outfit as in, what was part 2 of Cross Wars called? The Death Generals one? Yeah, I think it was just called the Death Generals and do some evil stuff. That's the title.
I didn't realise it had a name.
Yeah, well, the first one was Cross Wars, and then the second one was the 7 Death Generals and the Demon Lords, or whatever, I don't know. It had a name. And this one is the Young Hunters Who Leapt Through Time. Anyway, so she randomly pulled this out of thin air and was upset that her father didn't support her fully. And I'm just yep, you know what? I'm with the father here. So next scene, she's singing the opening for part 2 of Cross Wars, which... Yes, she's never ever shown singing ability before, but I kind of like that she's singing the songs from Cross Wars. It kind of it's got a cool groove to it. I dig it. And it's also reminding you, hey, remember part 2 happened? Wasn't that better than what you're watching now? Remember when you had a character? Anyway,
no.
So the others are chasing Harpymon at this point, and they're going to fight him, and after the performance, she comes through the Digicourts, and they need to match Harpymon's speed, so... And this is the moment I'm noticing, wow, I really hope Nene gets Harpymon and Taigiru doesn't get Harpymon for no reason, because, this is Nene's episode, right? So Harpymon beats just beats Sparrowmon, and then Taigiru's hey, can I have Sparrowmon so we can Digicross? And then Sparrowmon's now Digicross with the Restramon, and, I don't know, he gets the helmet, which is weirdly up Sparrowmon's bum all the time. On his head. No, I'm serious. I just thought that the figure was just lazy because they needed to do the transformation. But then I learned that it was actually just in her design, that it's just up her bum. So I'm just...
It's got to go somewhere.
I'm just... Yeah, it's just... why? It's so... I just thought the figure was saying... with the evolving figures, they have on War Greymon, Ogumon's head's on the back. I thought it was the same kind of thing as that. But no, it's actually in design where she has a helmet stuffed up her bum.
Right up there.
It's just Digimon, why? You make no sense, Digimon designs sometimes. And I love Sparrowmon, though. I really love Sparrowmon. I love she's back, by the way. Big thumbs up from May. So, yep, it makes no sense that Nene couldn't win, considering, Sparrowmon was always seen as overpowered. Remember when Sparrowmon was overpowered in the first season when she showed up and she could beat any Digimon ever?
She overpowered, she was just fast.
No,
wasn't
she was fast and she fought Tactimon when she first showed up and was basically matching him one-on-one. Like, she would just match everything. And now they kind of nerfed her, but not in the way that they nerfed Taiki, where they just said, hey, Taiki, you can't participate because you're too good. Or in the way that they said you can't Digicross more than 2 Digimon now. Like, you can't have them all out at the same time. Not in that way. They just, for no reason, just made her aggressively weaker. And Sparrowmon was so strong in the first season when she showed up. She was like this huge, fast, amazing, cool jet sparrow hyperactive thing where she just said, hey, Nene, can I kill them now? Like, what is she doing? Why is she losing? This is bad. So, yeah, Taigiru has a weird crush on Nene now, which makes no sense. And surprise, the mum...
Because she's the first famous person he's ever met.
It's just,
That's why.
Yeah, but... I don't know, it is weird. And Nene's great, though. I love Nene, but not in this season. Anyway, surprise, the masked man was the father, and he wanted to protect her. That's nice. That's reasonable. And, she's actually a child. And I feel like he was really apologetic for no reason when he was being completely legitimate, like trying to protect his 12-year-old girl who decided she wanted to jump to another country by herself to fulfill a dream that she just came up with that second. Like, if my parents supported everything I said when I was 12, like, I'm pretty sure my name would be like something along the lines of like Misty Ash Ketchum Yagami or something along those lines, and probably
That's embarrassing.
all
You're not meant
misspelled.
to admit that on air.
Like,
how do you misspell Ash?
I don't know, but my spelling was never great. Even when I was a kid, and now
That's
it
true.
was
I
never
read
great.
your fan fiction. It was sad.
Yeah, and that's with the bad misspelling of rapping. So like, I just don't. It's good to be supportive, but don't support everything that a 12-year-old says. Because a 12-year-old will say some weird things and will change their mind in about 5 minutes.
12-year-olds, classically not big smart.
Like, yes, there's a difference between, like, you can just say, okay, we can work towards this, or hey, how about we do some research on this, or how about we put you in acting school or singing classes or something. You can support them and then they'll learn on their own, like, hey, I don't actually want to do this. After, a week of doing it, they'll say, hey, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. Because that's just, I was a kid once. That's how kids work. They'll care, and how adults work too sometimes. Like, oh, I care about this. Oh, wait, no, I don't care about this anymore. It's been a week. Why is she doing this? Why is she, like, why is the bad guy the dad? He is being completely normal. Anyway, now she's, yep.
It doesn't matter if he's normal or not, because, like, it's a Digimon possession thing, so it's gonna make him unreasonable, whether or not he's legitimately unreasonable, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, like...
So by definition, he has to be this way.
But does he?
Yes.
Like, really?
Yes.
But...
Like, I know what you're getting at here, but yes, because it's a Digimon episode, and at the end of the day, you have to accept that it's always like this.
And Digimon does have the whole trope of adults are useless. Because it's a kid's show, they tend to have that trope of adults can't do anything. It's not just restricted to anime. It is a lot of media that's aimed at kids, where the adults are all useless. They don't believe the thing. They don't support the kids. They are awful. But, I don't know. Except for Adventure, where the adults were useless, but they were so supportive. And, like, I still get emotional thinking about Eri's mum in Appmon. Like, she's so good. And, like, Astra's English mother. That was great. I have a lot of emotions, but God.
Stop that.
Yep.
No more emotions.
Anyway, now she's singing the Young Hunters opening because she's a singer, apparently. And then we get the Digimon data collection corner. We get Harpymon, and it's Digicross with Digimon. And it just looks like Digimon, but it turns out Harpymon's nesting in his hair. It's funny. The random Digimon data collection with the Digicross is always, like, such a fun part of the episode, because it's just, like, they come up with the random
I'm pretty
ones.
sure it wasn't in the Crunchyroll version.
Well, that's awful. That's sad. It's before the end credits.
I remember it just cutting.
Really?
But
That's awful.
I don't know.
Well, that's even more of a reason why to watch this version, because it's not the super legal version, but I love the Digimon data collection.
Tell no one.
Like, I'm very emotional, and I really like the Digimon data collection, this random Digicross. I'm still waiting for the Patamon cross Sparrowmon one, because I know it's coming. I just don't know when. So what do you think of this episode as someone who's new to Digimon?
Oh, it's so awful. And the worst part about it is it obviously just means nothing.
Yes.
This entire experience was pointless.
Yeah. I mean, copy and paste the last half an hour of discussion and paste here, because that's my thoughts on the episode, and I guess that's probably Jay's thoughts too.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, what did you rate it? Because I gave it a 4, and I still think that's too nice.
That's really high.
I'm gonna give it a 2 or less. Like, I'm gonna give it a -2. I don't know. I just was not only.
It gets a 2 at best because, yeah, it's functional, but nothing that happens makes any sense, so it doesn't deserve any actual credit.
Yeah, like, as I said, I listed a bunch of ways to make this episode good, to make it have any sense. Like, oh, Nene detects some evil happenings in Hong Kong, and that's why she has to go to Hong Kong. Or she's been in contact with Taiki the whole time, and Taiki says, hey, some things are going on in Japan. What if they're around the rest of the world? And Nene's like, well, you get Japan with the new kids. I'm going to go to Hong Kong and check out what's going on there. That would make sense. That'd be fine. And sure, you can still have the dad being concerned because it's a legitimate thing to be concerned about. That's realistic. But have her have a reason that's not just like, I came up with this idea that I want to be an idol suddenly. Everyone, why aren't you supporting me? That'd be good.
Like, where would the plot be?
Well, the plot
like,
is
just... you'd go.
The plot is just
then what?
saying that there are problems in the Digicourts and Digimon are showing up throughout the world. That's the plot. There we go. We tie it in with the actual season and almost have a not filler episode. Like, there's some problems going on. Let's see what's happening in the rest of the world. Like, do the Digimon World Tour arc in 02. Like, sort of say, hey, what's happening in the rest of the world? Let's see. Do something
That's
like
what
that.
Next episode is, isn't it?
Next episode is the one where he goes soft.
No, not the 1, 2, 3. I mean, the next episode we do of this show.
No, it's not. It's not what the title says it is, unless I'm misremembering.
Okay. Well, I'm not disappointed because I remember how terrible the original World Tour was.
Yeah, like, we're never doing that again, but I'm just saying it would be better than just having her go to Hong Kong for no reason. Like, why can't she be an idol in Japan? Anyway, so...
Because Japan doesn't have any of those. What are you talking about?
So how did this episode compare to predictions of Obnoxious Synopsis? I somehow feel like it was worse than your predictions.
Yeah, I think it was, because I expected there to be, like, reasons for stuff happening. Whereas it becomes incredibly obvious that they have no interest in stuff happening.
Yep.
For any reason. It doesn't matter.
That's the whole season.
I want to die.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm really
Please
sorry.
Please do kill me.
Do we have any thoughts about this episode, or besides just it is bad? Because, like, not only is it bad, but they ruined a character who was good. Like, Nene was fine, right?
One could argue.
Yeah, she was just fine, and they made her not so fine. Episode 65 starts up with Taigiru running late because he's a protagonist and that's kind of what they do though. And his first class is PE, and he's like, oh, he's really worried because the PE teacher is this guy who will make him do lots of push-ups and sit-ups and stuff because he's late, and squats and all these exercises. Isn't he awful because he's doing his job? And it turns out that everyone's in class because the PE teacher is sick, so they have a study period instead. Because apparently replacement teachers don't exist. And all the sporty kids are tired, and I have no idea why Taigiru is not, because isn't he also in all these clubs? Didn't we find out?
No, because he was late today. The reason they're tired is because they were practicing early in the morning. Now, the better question, shouldn't he have been practicing early in the morning?
Yes, because he is part of all these clubs. Isn't he like the captain of a bunch of clubs for no reason?
No, he's the captain of one club that we know of.
Yeah.
But he's in basketball, we know that, but he's only captain of the wrestling club.
This is just such, like, it's just like the script is saying, hey, he doesn't go to class all the time. Like that is suddenly, like, this random character trait again that they changed. They just can't keep their facts straight or make their mind up about what kind of person Taigiru is. Like, is he the sporty guy? No, he all of a sudden hates sport. Because that's what I got from the intro part of this episode. That he doesn't like being in sport, he doesn't like his sports teacher. I feel like the Taigiru that we've known so far would be all up in doing some extra exercises in front of everyone.
Maybe? I'm not necessarily convinced of that myself.
I mean, besides that, I liked this episode, so I guess more on that later. So Taiki talks to you about the sports members all being tired out, and Taigiru time shifts and sees Flower Wizardmon, who is to blame, and he's also an armor form, if I recall correctly. I can't remember who, but I feel like he is. Somebody with the Digimental of Courage, I think. Might be Patamon, but I might be wrong. Anyway, so he's acting like the PE teacher because he was using the energy, and now he's doing the baseball and judo, and then he steals Taigiru's energy. And, like, it makes sense for Flowizamon to be good at everything because he's stealing things' energy. Like, I don't know why Taigiru's good at everything. Anyway, I love Flowizamon acting like Taigiru now because it's such a parody, and it reminds...
That's the best part of this entire episode.
Oh yes, definitely. I like this episode only because of Flowizamon being like, oh, woohoo! I'm gonna catch them all! Like, it's just so enjoyable, and I hate Taigiru, and it's like how when we were reading V-Tamer, and we have the characters show up in the omakes from different seasons, and they all sort of seem a bit of a parody on themselves, especially Daisuke. It's just, it's great, and I like Flowizamon. So he's sucking in everybody's energy. He's not just limiting himself to the sporty ones, he's just eating everything now because he's got Taigiru's energy, and Taigiru just wants to catch them all. So Flowizamon also wants to catch them all now. And I love this nonsensical thing because it actually makes sense. Like, they gave him a reason for wanting to eat everyone's energy. Like, because he's got Taigiru's energy now. This is fine. So the kids are now fighting him in the Digicourts, and Gumdramon is bringing Taigiru on his head. The other good part of the episode is just Gumdramon just, like, grabbing him. He's sitting on his head, and he's just running along, and then Gumdramon headbutts Flowizamon, and Taigiru isn't on his head, but then in the next shot,
he's back on again.
He's back on again. So I have no idea where he went for that second where he headbutt, but I feel like Taigiru is dead.
Well, he can't be dead.
He should be.
Right there.
I hope he is. He should be. And the rest of Young Hunters is just a dream because he was dead. I don't know. That's all I can think of because it makes no sense. Because it's such like a... It feels like it's an animation error, but I don't even think it's an animation error. I just think they forgot.
I think it's not so much... it is an animation error in the sense that it's a mistake, but it's probably we animated this, and then when we put it into where it's meant to go in the episode, we realized that before and afterwards we forgot to put this on. They just animated them at different times, and then didn't want to change it because it would have made no sense.
That too.
But we already put the headbutt thing together. When else would it have happened?
Yeah.
I guess now.
Yeah. So Gumdramon says that he respects Taigiru's spirit and calls Flowizamon a fake, and Gumdramon's weak all of a sudden, but still stands, and Taigiru gets his energy from being motivated by the power of friendship and Gumdramon, and he says his energy is always charging and can't be stolen, and Taigiru captures Flowizamon and gets all the energy back. So the PE teacher's now back in the next scene, is making the class work back all the time they had off, and Taigiru's like, maybe I shouldn't have gotten his energy back, because of course he does, and...
Did you pick up that, like, the power of friendship would get Taigiru his energy back? Because I did.
I was just... I mean, I knew that was going to happen because, of course, he's the main character, but I hoped he was kind of just, like, in bed for the whole episode, like that time where Taiki was in a coma for, like, 3 days, and they just have Taiki and you be the main characters. I wanted that. Or how about Gumdramon, like, doing the fight on his own, and he can still have the power of friendship. He can still have the, I respect Taigiru, you're fake, this is fake energy, you're stealing it from Taigiru, this isn't real. He can still have that whole thing, and he can still fight him. And that's fine, but I didn't want Taigiru to be in the part. He can just be on the ground somewhere, but he can still ride along on Gumdramon's head, because that was great. But everything is just happening too much.
Well, I mean, the question then is, what do you expect him to do? Because if Taigiru's just on his head for a little while, then, like, what happens?
I don't know, but Gumdramon was previously, like, wanting to be strong and fighting on his own. Like, I'm not sure why he's suddenly weak when he's he's separate from Taigiru, and he's all, like, he becomes weak all of a sudden randomly. And just, why? Anyway, the data collection is Flowizamon crossed with Wisemon, and he just makes the knowledge grow. And, again, like, I love the Digimon data collection, and I love Flowizamon.
For reasons unknown to me.
Because it's cool, and I like it. What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
This episode is so boring. It's just, we take people's motivation away, which is a weird power, right? And the bad guys' stated aims are weird. I don't know how else to put this. Like, his stated aims are to be number one. But number one of what?
Everything, you know.
But, like, is there a ranking of Digimon? Like, what does he want to be the best at?
Everything.
And if he's obviously quite motivated.
Yes.
So what is he gaining here? Because he's already motivated to do this.
He's gaining stuff.
He says like characteristics or something, but I thought that meant like stats. But then when he takes on Taiki's thing, he like becomes like him, which is to imply then that when he says characteristics, he means he changes his personality. And this is...
He just wants to collect energy, and then when he becomes Taigiru, he wants to collect all the energy, not just the sporty energy.
I just don't... I mean, the sporting energy is probably because of the timing, because they're there in the morning. Because obviously once they go outside, just random people have been drained.
Yeah.
And if he has to fight you in the Digiquartz, like, is he kidnapping like 100 people and no one's noticing?
I guess?
Just,
I don't know.
It's another thing where they had an idea, and they didn't spend any time at all thinking about how to implement the idea. They just said, just do it. Just put it in. And so it goes, so why did this happen? They go, because it's Digimon. With this like far away defeated look in their eyes, because it's Digimon. I don't know.
Previously these Digimon have stolen the energy from people because they wanted to eat the energy of people. Like, I'm pretty sure the first couple of Digimon that we saw just wanted to eat people, I think, and just sort of had them like stuck in like this big pile of people. That was previously what happened at the start of this Young Hunter season. And I guess that sort of like, this episode is going back to, hey, but what if the Digimon didn't want to like work alongside the human to get their desires? What if it just wanted to eat people? Like, they can't make up their mind of what the Digimon want to do. Do they want to work with the people and feed off their desires, or they just want to feed off their desires in general? I don't know.
Well, we're the next episode where there's no feeding whatsoever.
Literal feeding of the foods, and it's good because I like ramen.
Big joke.
Anyway, so what was the rating of this episode?
Like a 2, I guess. It was incredibly boring, but
I gave it a 5, just for Flower Wizardmon being Taigiru.
Wow, that is not... Do you see how weak your rating system is when you're saying, I gave this thing a rating that was like 3 points above the last episode because one person had one line that lasted probably 4 seconds?
Yes, but you see, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed him mocking Taigiru effectively. I'm not even sure if that was meant to be enjoyed for that reason. It was just fun. And what about compared to predictions of Obnoxious Synopsis?
I thought there was being like an actual issue between Taigiru and Gumdramon. I was way off.
We already had that episode twice. We already had them fighting.
Yeah, but I thought they would do it again. We actually talked about that in Obnoxious Synopsis, I think. I was like, well, they're just disastrously uncreative, aren't they?
Yeah, well, I'm glad it wasn't that, because that's bad. I hate when we're just like, well, we can't think of an episode, so how about shrug, Taigiru and Gumdramon fighting again randomly? Like, come on. Like, don't pretend that what they did in this episode was anywhere better than the other times we've had them fighting.
I mean, you're right.
It was nice having them work together. It was nice when Gumdramon was carrying him on his head. I liked this episode because it could have been worse. It's the same reason I didn't like the last episode, because they could have done anything to make it better. This one is just like, well, you know what? It wasn't as bad as what we've had previously. Like, it's a new spin of Taigiru and Gumdramon have an issue, but at least it's like them not changing their personalities randomly. At least Taigiru has a similar sort of personality, except for when he's missing out on sport and he's running late, which is a trait we've never seen before, apparently.
But the change that we get is just, they've made him boring. That's all they accomplished.
Well...
Is that what you wanted? Did you want, it's Taigiru, but with no energy. Okay, and why? A Digimon stole it, and for what purpose? To be the best.
Well...
Okay, well, benefit of the doubt, what story does that tell?
I'm fine with it.
They go get it back with the power of friendship. Oh, so every Digimon story.
Well, yeah, I don't like how it was finished with the power of friendship. If it wasn't the power of friendship, it could have been a better episode, but it was still better than it could have been, at least.
Man, everything is better than it could have been. Like, that doesn't mean anything. Do you understand?
Here's my slogan for all of Digimon. Digimon could be worse.
Isn't that just the saddest thing ever?
Yeah, it's super sad. Episode 66 starts off with some Ogremon, and one is actually not an Ogremon, it's a Fugamon, and they're making some really spicy ramen. It's not popular and they blame each other, and then they try each other's food, and they hate each other's ramen, and decide that they need human help, and I like this. I'm glad that it had the potential to have them, like, fighting, but then when they try each other's ramen, they realize they're both bad and they need help. That's fine, because when I first saw this, I was expecting them to fight forever, but they're not fighting forever. They're going to work together. It's nice. So, and yeah, Taigiru is going home and wants to play with Gumdramon and his classmates. Masaru's father has a ramen restaurant, so Taigiru is going to use him, by the way. This friend we've never mentioned before, and Taigiru is going to use him because he's hungry. He's saying, hey, don't you have a a ramen restaurant friend that I've never spoken to before. Like, doesn't that seem horribly selfish?
Yeah, but that's Taigiru for you.
Yeah. Anyway, so they decide to get I'm reading the wrong line. It's been a while. So he looks troubled, and we get a weird scene where Taiki comes in and says, "You can't turn your back on him, right?" And it's like he's quoting something about Taigiru, but that's actually Taiki's trait. So I'm not sure why he's saying. It's really weird. It's just so strange to have this. And why is Taiki all of a sudden showing up in the class below him's? I don't know, it's like they're trying to make him relevant, but they forget why he's relevant in the first place. I don't know. So Masaru's family has a rival restaurant, and they have less customers now. Gumdramon wants ramen too. The dad says that he makes ramen that people think is dull. And you and Taigiru are arguing again for some reason because...
Well, because you is a ramen connoisseur, the noodles are such and the soup is etc.
But the show is so weird because...
Taiki's like, can't you just say it's good?
Yeah, but they can't make up their mind between, like, having them as friends or not. They fight randomly. Like, their friendship fluctuates, and it's really something weird about this season. Anyway, so Ogumon and Fugumon kidnap the dad and make him try the ramen, and he says the noodles are thick and chewy and it's delicious, but the dashi that they're using is wrong. And,
which is the opposite problem.
Yeah, so they decide they want to help each other. This part is good. I like this. I like how he isn't being kidnapped so much as he actually wants to stay and help because they want to help each other. He's not really being held there against his will like we've previously seen in this season. The Digimon aren't just feeding off him. He actually knows what he's in for. And I like this because it's something different. So,
look, on one hand, keep in mind that you said you liked that, because I'm going to draw that into why I think this episode is terrible.
Oh, no, the way that they finish this episode is terrible, because they make it like every other Digimon episode, but I'm just saying this part, like, isolated from the rest of the episode, has such promise for a good episode.
But I don't even mean the ending of the episode, although I did call it almost exactly. The moment they said there was, like, a ramen competition, I'm like, this is how it's ending.
Yeah.
It's going to end because... Yeah, he doesn't make the best one, but he makes the one with the most heart, and that's what really matters in food.
Well, again, wasn't that sort of the same thing in the MasterChef episode of the last season or the season before?
I've never watched MasterChef.
No, the MasterChef episode or the Iron Chef episode of Digimon. There was the sweet episode, and they stole all the fruit.
Oh no, it wasn't the one with the most heart. Maybe it was.
And it was also the Bergamon episode of Frontier, where it also came down to, but yours had the most heart. It's such like a Digimon thing of like, the food with the most heart will win.
I totally forgot about that.
Even if your noodles are bad, it's the heart that matters. Or even if it's plain, it's the heart that matters. It is such like, it's a Digimon problem. Like, that's the only way I can say, right?
I pretty much agree. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure it's specifically a Digimon thing. But on the other hand, it is something that happens in Digimon a lot. So much so that I could tell it was going to happen immediately.
Yeah. Like, it is just a thing. So meanwhile, Taigiru and you are talking about what makes a better ramen, and Taigiru wants to make onigiri ramen, which sounds interesting to say the least, and you is talking about how the noodles are lacking, and they need thick and chewy noodles, because that's just what's happening, I guess. And the store is now flourishing with new ramen, so they go in, and Masaru is still troubled, and he says the dad now yells at customers and doesn't take feedback, and the noodles are actually being made elsewhere. And I feel like they added in the part where the dad's now horrible and doesn't take feedback because otherwise it would be good. Like, this episode would be a good episode. Like, it would just be like, well, they fixed their problems. Ogumon and Fugumon are working together with the human, and everything is turning out for the best. But they had to add in, like, oh, but the dad's awful now.
I literally wrote in my notes, it was like, why isn't everyone just super happy about this?
Like, it's pretty lazily written. They were like, well, we have to make it a Digimon episode. It can't just be like, and then the Digimon work together. Like, why couldn't we have, in the same way that we had the Kotomon episode, where they were doing the kendo, and they were like, oh, but the Digimon's evil. Nope, no, that's actually one of Team Rocket, who were mysteriously vacant in these episodes again, weren't they?
You know what, now that you mention it, yeah, I had not thought that they literally did not show up at all.
No. Like, I don't think I realised until the eye catcher in between the ad breaks, like, shows one of them, and I was just like, oh, we didn't actually see the random kids who show up for no reason in these episodes.
What are their motivations to do anything?
To be in the way.
Aren't we like 12 episodes in?
Well, this is our 12th episode, so yes.
So shouldn't we know by now?
Yeah, we're like halfway through the season, and the plot happens in about 10 episodes.
Why don't we know yet? I'm
Pacing?
getting increasingly bothered by this.
No, like, what do you expect? I think I warned you early on, like, well, this is just what happens in this season. Sorry to disappoint. This is just, like, I was never making it up. What I said, well, it's just filler except for 5 episodes, and there are characters who just show up and are relevant for, like, about 5 seconds, only when they're on screen. Yeah, it just sort of...
Like this, like, Masaru, which is a terrible name for them to have used.
Yeah.
For the son.
Yes, because we've already had a Masaru, but that's fine. Like, naming aside, Savers was better than this anyway. Shrug. Anyway, so... The kids find the dad, and they tell the son's mad, and he says, oh, the dad's so different, he just wanted to warm the hearts of the customers, and then the son challenges the dad to the ramen contest, and I just want to point out, why are they telling the kid about all these Digimon all of a sudden? Like, I feel like they've previously tried to avoid telling people about the Digimon, and now it's just like, oh, by the way, Digimon are a real kid. Like, I don't know.
And they take him to the Digiquartz.
Which is dangerous, yes.
No, it's not, because you're here to have a ramen making competition. It's fine.
Yeah, it just, and also, like, that'd be fine if the Ogremon weren't actually bad guys, but they are bad. I don't know, it seems very unsafe. Anyway.
Well, they're only bad guys at the end. You didn't know they were violent until they didn't get what they wanted.
Well, they are Ogremon.
Yeah, but they don't know that, I guess.
Like, I do love when Ogremon shows up in Digimon, because in Adventure, he was like that tsundere, like, oh, I'm a virus type, I'm not meant to be with you vaccines, which is just like such a cute part of Digimon Adventure when he's like wearing that samurai hat. Like, I liked it. Anyway, so Masaru is bravely challenging these hideous ogres to this battle of the ramen, and the dad is the taster, and Masaru's dad is...
What? But he also made it. He's a judge. That's not cool.
Yeah, but I feel like he's a good guy all of a sudden again. And
you can't have the judge be one of the contestants be one of the... He was a contestant, and he's also the judge. That's crazy.
He's not actually the contestant. He is, in this case, a judge. He taught the Yogamon how to make the dashi good. Anyway, so he's just sort of like, well, whoever can make the better ramen, I will decide. And I don't know. It's fine. Like, I don't have a huge problem because he's not actually competing. Anyway, so... Masaru is making the ramen, and Masaru's dad's watching, and he's wondering when he's like where his son learned to do that. And I like this part.
Wouldn't he get it from him?
Yeah,
because
well, that's obviously
he worked in shop.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure Masaru actually says it later on anyway. So
it just seems like so self-evident.
Yeah. Ogamon and Fugamon says that Masaru's noodles are uneven and they don't match, and they're like making fun of him. And Masaru added clams to the dad's original ramen, and Masaru says that it's to warm the hearts of the customers. And then when Masaru's dad tastes both the ramen, he says that the Ogamon ramen was selfish ramen. It's made just to promote themselves and to get money. And that his son's ramen actually came from the heart and was making ramen for the customer to enjoy, and that was like the purpose. And then because it's Digimon and we have to have a fight, the Ogamon and Fugamon attack, which I don't know, just seems unfair. And then Taiki captures the Ogamon and Fugamon, and yeah, that was the episode. And then we get the data collection, Ogamon crossed with Mervamon, because why? It's funny. It is funny looking. What do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
It's such a waste of time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, like, take a moment to sit back and think about it. Remember you said, like, oh, this would be good if it wasn't for the dad getting unhappy?
Yep.
Like, I have to think about it, like, again, like, you're creating tension, but this isn't like a mystery. This is just like a Digimon episode.
Yeah.
We're in episode 12.
Yes.
Think of every other season of Digimon, ever, right?
Yes.
Think about the plots that existed and the threats that they were facing.
Yes.
And in this episode, the kids have to help another child because his dad's kind of grumpy because he's searching for the best ramen to sell, to get popular.
Yes.
It sounds like an alternate universe in which this is like a legitimate like kids coloring book.
Yes.
It's trash.
And again, I feel like this could have been like a cute episode where it turns out Digimon are working with the human and there's no fighting. They just work with the human and maybe Taigiru and the others think that there's something shifty going afoot, and then it turns out not to be. And I don't know, they could have actually put some thought towards this episode and made it sort of you can't judge a book by the cover. Just because they look like evil Ogumon doesn't mean they're actually evil. But it turns out they made them evil just because it was a Digimon episode.
No, in fact, you should definitely judge a book by the cover. That way you wouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, what'd you rate this episode?
0. I was right.
Wow.
It's real bad.
I gave it a 6 because I liked the episode, I liked the premise, I liked the ramen, I like how the human is actually, like, they're working in coexistence together, the human and the Digimon, that's fine. I didn't like the part that it was a forced fight, and they just had to have a fight because it was a Digimon. It could have just been a nice episode, but they couldn't because it's Digimon. What about your predictions of Obnoxious Synopsis?
I thought there'd be ramen and no story to speak of, and I'm pretty much correct.
There was some story.
Now, but the moment the competition started, I could have been like, you know what? If I'd known that the competition was between, like, a son and the dad, or, like, the son, some kind of dad's representatives, like, I could have told you, and I did call it out when I'm doing my notes. I'm like, I'm certain that this is going to result in a winner because, this one has the most heart.
Yeah, because that's a Digimon thing.
Intensely predictable.
I don't know, it's a Digimon thing of, like, the idea of heart, and it's just, like, the power of friendship. It's always the power of heart, and we have this, I think, in every episode of Digimon that's related to food, or any sort of food contest is, well, the bad guy's food is the best, but this one has more heart. Like, it was, who was the judge in the Cross Wars one? I think it was Pandamon, and you thought that the bad guy was going to win, but it turns out it was the good guy because they had more heart and more emotion and more, like, love into the food, and it's annoying.
Something like that.
Like, it was exactly the same plot. It's just...
You can do it once. You can do this plot once.
Yes.
Even then it's not good.
Mm-hmm.
But at least you can.
Yes.
But they've already done it once.
Yes.
Now it's just sad.
They do it whenever they feel like they want a food episode because they don't know any other way except for the heart was the most important thing. And it's just what happens when it comes to food. Like, I get it, that's the theme. But if you're going to go with the same theme every time, don't make it about food if you can't think of another way to resolve it other than just like, you win because you've got the most heart, even though the bad guy's one was better tasting, better looking, and better everything. You have heart, apparently, and the bad guy doesn't have heart. Like, I don't know. I feel like you can't taste heart in food unless it's got a heart in it, like a physical, like, I don't know, person's heart, which is disgusting.
Wow.
But I'm just saying is that, like, you can't actually taste emotions in cooking. You can taste effort. If it tastes good, you're like, wow, this person put a lot of effort into it. But if they're like a trained chef, which is... Yeah, it was Matadamon. That was the judge, wasn't it? It was like this flamboyant Digimon. Anyway, so my point is, if someone's good at cooking and someone's not good at cooking, and even if they are the nicest person ever, they're still bad at cooking. Like, it's not realistic. It's a trope, and it's bad. It's like the power of friendship. Like, I won because of the power of friendship. Like, that doesn't work with cooking. In fights, yeah, whatever, sure, power of friendship, woo. But the food, why? No, bad. Just awful.
That's what the judge said when tasting the kid's food.
Well,
why? No, bad.
What he should have said. Like, okay, this one, you can almost argue, okay, it's his dad. He's saying it's heart because I can see the effort he put in. But, I don't know. It's bad. So we hate Taigiru, don't we?
Yes. He's incredibly boring, and every time he's not boring, he's annoying.
However, I do think he's got some good points. Like, it is kind of great to approach things like Taigiru, and it's kind of like, it's going to sound like super lame, but it's actually kind of my New Year's resolution to act more like Taigiru, like, approach things with passion, like, yes, yahoo, I can do it. Like, that's great, right? Like, I hate him, but, like, it is good to approach things in that way, right?
You could argue that it is.
And now I just want to compare him with Taiki, and Taiki does things because he wants to help. He's not good at everything. He'll basically learn what he needs to do to be passable at whatever he's doing, because he doesn't need to be an excellent person at it. He just needs to know what he needs to know because he's filling in for someone. And then if he overworks, he gets sick. That's good. And then if we think about it, like, neither Taiki and Taigiru are really that realistic, right? Compared to real people, I'm talking about.
No, there's no way you can, like, there's no way that you can, like, study for one night and be good enough at basketball to carry a team, you know?
And I feel like out of all the Goal kids, that's what I like about Taichi, because Taichi is just, like, so realistic as an 11-year-old boy. Like, he is such an 11-year-old boy. he's kind of selfish, and he's kind of like normal in terms of 11-year-old boy. He's like, well, I'm going to do that final shot because I want the glory, or I want to be the best because I am the best. I want to go climb that tree. That is so reasonable for an 11-year-old boy, and I like it. Right? I know.
It's funny because it's so basic that I wouldn't put it as a feature that I like.
I know, but I'm just like...
That's the problem I have with this.
I was just thinking about Taigiru's points. I'm like, well, I do like how he approaches things. Then I realised it's not really realistic. It's good to approach things like that, but it's not realistic for a child to do that. And meanwhile, Taiki is just
But it's a character.
Yeah, I know.
That's fine.
But I do like some realism in the characters, and when I was thinking about Taichi, he's just like so like realistic and normal. We've also got Takado, who's also fairly normal, and Haru, who's also fairly normal.
Yeah, Haru's a weirdo. I love him though.
Yeah, he's like this kind of like bit of a nerd. I love him. I love Haru. But yeah, I think about the Gold Kids a lot. I think about characters in Digimon a lot, but
And that's not sad at all.
I never used to like Taichi, but now as an adult I have some sort of appreciation for him for not being Yamato.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. So do you have any thoughts about Taigiru? Do you have any good points to say?
Why would I?
I don't know. I'm sure he's got like a good part, maybe in his toe. I don't know.
I've every time he's on screen, it's painful, and I want him to go away. And I know I've committed to see another like 12 episodes of this, and I wish I didn't have to.
At least there's no movie.
That's where I'm at. That's true. Thank God for small graces or whatever it is.
We had some Digimon design introduced. We have Wizamon, who I love.
Honestly, he's actually not bad looking.
Yeah, I
think the giant match is probably overstated, but at first I thought he was just a fireball, and I was like, oh, this is bad.
He's so edgy. I love him. He's like, hey, what if Wizamon, but on fire? And yes, I love it. What about Harpymon?
I don't know why, I feel like I've seen it before.
You have? It was in my fanfiction?
Yeah.
It was in like...
Design is terrible, you should have done a better job.
Well, I didn't create this character, don't blame me. But yeah, those were the Digimon. I'm not sure if we've seen Fugumon before, but he's just orange or / red Ogamon. And we've seen the design itself before, I guess. I kind of was expecting like, oh, are you guys like related? No, we just look alike. But that was an Appmon
but that would have
joke.
been too funny.
Yeah, that was an Appmon joke.
That would have been too high quality a joke.
Which was like such like a silly joke in Appmon, but like it was so funny.
They had such an opportunity that they missed. It's really disappointing.
With the
Afro guy.
Yeah, Afro guy, the mildly inconvenienced man. Yeah, I just like, no, we just look alike. Like that would have been so good, but they missed it, and I don't know. It would have been. He was
often much more than mildly inconvenienced, to be fair.
Yeah, like the time he took a train like to home, and all of a sudden he ended up in Egypt or something.
That was his GPS when he was driving.
Yeah, like I'm not sure how that happens, but sure, why not? Oh no, there was another train one where he ended up somewhere he shouldn't have been.
It is actually impossible, what with you being in Japan, and you can't drive to Egypt from Japan.
Yes, but it was like your disbelief was suspended just for inconvenienced man, and every time it was great.
Hold on. Wait. Your disbelief is suspended for inconvenience man, but not for Digimon.
No, I'm just saying in Digimon a lot of the time where things that are just make no sense, like Young Hunters for example, it's annoying. Yeah. But for some reason, even though these things made no sense, and a lot of contexts when things don't make sense, they're annoying. This one was just so funny. You kind of looked past the fact that it made no logical sense, and you were just kind of like, oh, that's funny. Like it was just humor. It was great. And like, how often do you get like a legitimate like chuckle or smile out of Digimon?
Much more rarely now.
Yeah, like, I mean, how many times can you remember ever finding something in Digimon funny? Like, I'm sure there are parts throughout the seasons, but like, when...
Man, I can't average it out. I wouldn't be able to say.
Like, the only times I remember you laughing was Appmon.
I've tried to laugh at a lot of stuff, but in like a this is so bad it's funny kind of way.
Yeah, like, we've laughed at Digimon, but the only time I remember us laughing with Digimon was Appmon. Like, especially when, and we talk about Appmon every episode now because it was just so much better than this, and it was just so surprisingly better than everything, and it was just, like, whenever we'd have a thought like, hey, but what about this thing, a character would say, hey, what about this thing, and it just happened every time, like, hey, what about this thing that makes no sense, then a character would just say, hey, what about this thing that makes no sense, and then it would be explained. Like, what? That's so good. Appmon's so good. Please give us a legitimate, like, English sub or English dub, please, somebody.
I'm shocked that they haven't. That's unbelievable that they've done other languages but not English.
I think it just got announced in Korean or something,
Random.
Why not English? I think Young Hunters, like, well, they never dubbed Young Hunters in English, but I think Cross Wars must have hurt them so much they're scared of Digimon, except for Try. Like, I think they're scared, like, as in the English dubbers are scared of releasing Digimon for children, because they're not sure how it will sit in this Pokemon and Yokai Watch world. And according to the polls in Japan, quite well. It did, I'm pretty sure it did better than both Yokai Watch and the current season of Pokemon at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Like, remember the time it did better than My Hero Academia?
I do now.
It did better than it probably should have, but it was surprising. Like, it was just like, you did so well, Appmon. Congratulations. I love Appmon.
Yeah, it's because of weirdos like you.
I mean, you liked Appmon.
Weirdos like you.
Yeah.
Don't throw me under this bus.
I mean,
I don't need this.
I will always love Appmon, and I can't wait until there's a dub. And I'm surprised because we didn't get a dub that we didn't get any English subtitle official release, right?
I'm shocked at it at all times because they have to have assessed a reason not to do it in English. And my thought is it's probably like licensing and like expensive English voice actors that they would actually want to get. But you have to consider the possibility that like they've gone, well, we did so badly in English in 2011 or whenever this was released, that maybe they're like traumatized by the English market. That doesn't seem super likely because that's what they did English for Try. So it can't be that.
As I said, I think they're scared of releasing Digimon for kids because it's in a Pokemon and Yokai Watch world. Like, they're releasing something that's official, like, sort of like almost new to kids. Digimon Adventure Try is for adults. So it's not competing with Yokai Watch and Pokemon because adults don't tend to watch Yokai Watch and Pokemon because it is aimed at a younger audience, and Digimon Adventure Try was for people my age who grew up with Digimon.
Is Yokai Watch even popular in English-speaking countries?
Yes, there's all this merchandise.
The show?
They can get the watch. Yeah, you can buy the watch and you can play the games.
I didn't know the show was out here.
Yeah, the show is out here, and the manga's out here. So
news to me.
It is still in the market. It's not as popular as it is in Japan. In Japan, it's actually holding up against Pokemon.
Oh yeah, I knew that. I was there.
Like, I mean, Pokemon still is bigger, but it is doing really well considering. But in English, it's sort of, I think they're more worried about releasing it in English because it has things to stand up against, and it sort of died. Like, Young Hunters didn't get released, and the rest of Cross Wars was not popular. The second season didn't get any toys in English or Japanese. Like, it sort of didn't have much of a following. In Australia, we only got the first season of Cross Wars. Like, nobody wants to have any more Digimon because of probably how badly Cross Wars did, right? So now
ruined it for everyone.
So now there's Try as again for adults, and Appmon would be released for children, which, because it is, like, Appmon is a show for children, and that's why I think Digimon should remain releasing for children, because Appmon was better than Try, because Try was aimed at children and it was fine, but it wasn't as good as it could have been. And there's lots of people who love it, and that's great. But what I'm saying is I feel like Digimon works better as a kid's franchise, if that makes sense. Because Appmon's...
Well, it is.
Yeah.
If it is the sort of franchise that if you look too closely at it, you'll decide it is bad, as I have, then yes, it's for children.
Except for Appmon, which you said is good.
I did, and honestly, aren't we all still shocked at that?
Oh yeah, when we read the description, we were both just insanely pessimistic, and we were like, well, we'll watch it because we have to, not because we want to. And then it turned out we actually wanted to watch it. Every week, we were excited. We were like, oh, is the English sub out yet? Oh, like, it was excitement. Well, excitement for me. I'm not sure if it was much for you. I think at some point you were just...
At times it was. When it got to the point where I'm like, I need to know the answers to these mysteries, and they're really, really dragging it out. Is he a robot? Yes.
Yeah. I think the only other time you felt that besides Appmon was maybe after Try Chapter 3, and then never again, except for Appmon.
Yeah, Try Chapter 3 was very much I need to know what is going on. And then when I found out what was going on, I was like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah, and that's sad. Like, Try had a lot of promise, and then I feel like it could have been more, but I just hope it's all better in the next season of Digimon Adventure, which I feel like nobody asked for. And I feel like if we had that second season of Tamers that everyone's been demanding forever, I feel like it would also be not that great. So yeah, this Appmon is good. Young Hunters kind of ruined Digimon, and yet Cross Wars killed Digimon, and that's sad. Like, I can't help but feel like Cross Wars is to blame about why we don't have English Appmon. Everywhere else does, we just don't.
Probably. When they drop the ball this hard,
Yeah.
because this is such a waste of time, this entire season, I can just feel it in my bones.
And I'm just surprised that Crunchyroll hasn't at least grabbed the rights for Appmon just to give an English sub, because Crunchyroll has Cross Wars, all 3 seasons of Cross Wars with an English sub.
I think paying for voice actors is very expensive. Paying for licensing is very different.
Yeah, like, I don't know, it is surprising that, I mean, what, it's been...
Yes, it's been a while.
It has been over 2 years since Appmon started airing, and over a year since it finished. Like, that's weird. It is just weird. Appmon is good. Please, someone license it before May goes insane. The Postmon Pat this week. First up, we have a review on iTunes. And it's from Diarki, and I probably mispronounced that horribly, from Australia on January 8th, 2019. And it's a 5-star review.
Yeah.
So thank you. And also, hello, we have another Australian listening. Yay!
Yeah, I thought it was just us.
So they say, a really entertaining podcast in which May defends a series that they love, and Jay rips it to shreds. Yep, that's the podcast. And I guess now May also rips it to shreds because, I'm sorry, Young Hunters, but you could have been better. Anyway, they also say that they appreciate their efforts and occasional departures into the Australian news that helps them keep on top of current events as well. And it's entertaining and informative. And we go even more, like, into the Australian news, like, in the non-edited versions, because sometimes we just talk for, like, an hour about politics randomly, because, like, I'm waiting for us to change, like, Prime Ministers again mid-term, because, like, I keep on forgetting who the Prime Minister is.
Yeah, Prime Minister spotting is a national sport.
Like, it's like, oh, time to change your, the fire detector, the smoke detectors in your house, because we've got a new Prime Minister. Like...
I actually change the battery and smoke detectors less often, I think.
Yeah. I mean, who is Scott Morrison? Anyway, so, thank you for the review, and it's really great. We actually had 2 reviews.
Always appreciate it.
We actually had another review, but I will save that for next time, because it's good to stagger them, because we don't get reviews that often. So please leave us a review, because it is great. If you're listening to this episode and you haven't left us a review, leave us a review somewhere and I will find it. Preferably somewhere that accepts reviews, because I think we've had a few reviews that are just
it makes sense to put a review somewhere it doesn't have reviews.
Well, like, we've had like a comment on like YouTube before that gave us a review.
Oh, well, don't not do it.
So like, someone just give us a review, please.
It's fine. Figure it out.
Yeah,
we got one with the will. Yeah? We got a letter from Chuckmon who says, I liked all 3 of these episodes. Number 6, which is wrong. I'm sorry, Chuckmon, you're wrong. Oh no, this is the last episode. Still wrong, but different wrong. Food episodes are always fun. Okay, no, you're wrong.
No, food episodes are fun.
Okonomiyaki. Well, you just complained about the ramen one.
Yeah, I liked it though.
Although the ending was completely absurd with the overstuffed Pagumon turning into okonomiyaki batter themselves, which is lunacy. Number 62 with Kenta-san must have been so psyched to see his Digimon in an actual episode as contest winner.
Oh, yeah.
Contest winner number 4, the General Arashi Award with Ganemon, plus Hideaki wanting to open a takoyaki stand, was reminiscent of Daisuke's dream to own a ramen cart.
A little bit, yeah.
Was a ramen cart? And Taigiru wanting to help him realize it, plus make some cash on the side. I forgot that Hideaki existed.
Yeah.
Number 63, they say that they love how much Taigiru loves seeing Taiki get flustered. Even Gumdramon thinks it's stupid. Taigiru is so immature and it's hilarious. Only if you like that sort of thing. None of these episodes are nonsensical, and it has been complete torture for Jay and even May to watch, but they must admit that they've been enjoying these episodes. They love how the idiotic antics of Taigiru, but these standalone stories mixed with our Team Rocket crew of baddies.
Which don't show up suddenly.
Is a crap fest of delights for those of us that find it enjoyable. Say what you will about Digimon Hunters, it gave us 2 important things. 1, it abandoned the stupid Cross 1, Cross 2, Cross 3, Cross 3 plus M, Cross 4 labeling of earlier Cross Wars, except that in the last episode we have Cross Up, which, by the way, is Cross Up?
Cross Up I've had this whole season.
Really?
Yeah, all of Young Hunters, whenever...
I just forgot about
whenever
it.
they cross... It's like, in Appmon...
Was its name always Cross Up Arrestamon?
Yeah, no, it's always Cross Up Arrestamon, no matter what it is.
Weird.
So it's the same as...
Ignore me.
Yeah, it's the same as in Appmon, where we had plus so-and-so. It's the same sort of thing, but no Digimon is mentioned.
Well,
Cross Up's been the whole season.
Yeah, for more sober, Sharpmon Cross Up. And 2, Taigiru has the best looking goggles of any Digimon gogglehead in the franchise. That kid's got that style. Don't say that. Don't encourage him.
I like his
and
hair.
he's such an idiot. How can you not love him? I don't love him.
I like his hair.
You know it is. And they say, have fun in Japan. A little bit late, but I'm sure we got this before that.
I had fun. I want to go back
and
there.
then Happy New Year, 21 days into January, because we're so good at this. And also people be listening to this, like, when are we releasing this episode?
We're releasing it on Saturday. Well, releasing
the
it
26th?
We're releasing it for Patreons tonight.
Happy New Year on the 26th.
Yeah, 26th, yeah.
So, and then also enjoy the break to me, and I did, such that I forgot stuff about Digimon.
Which is great.
My encyclopedic knowledge is gone, which is great. And we got one on YouTube from Takato Fan again, or because of the capitalizations, I think it's Takato Fan again, like it's one word. So glad that Jay didn't hate Savers to start with. I worry slightly because while I like it, after a few more episodes, it has 5 episodes or so with the Monster of the Week feeling, before the plot really gets going. Though I love Savers, I've only ever watched it all the way through 3 times. Don't say I've only watched, and then I've only watched it 3 times. That's a lot of times to watch a series of shows.
I like Savers.
And it's been a couple of years. I never did notice how alike this was to the start of Tamers. May pointed out about the tracker and calling it Raptor 1 was reminiscent of a Wild One, but there were several others that I noticed that I never had, such as Masaru taking Agumon around in a cardboard box and Agumon wanting to go to school. I'm in a box.
Yeah, it is a bit like that. I never really thought about that, but yeah, that's spot on.
One thing I randomly noticed about the dub of Savers, which I've only ever watched a few times, 3 times in fact, and it's been years, is that I personally love dub jokes, depending on what they are. There are, of course, really stupid ones, but most of them I like. However, the dub of Savers, I've noticed, doesn't seem to insert lines in silence as much, most notably when there's a montage, whether it being showing quick shots of what they did on Christie's birthday, or doing research on a case. It seems like the dub in the past would have come up with a voiceover, but I like that they kept it quiet.
Yeah.
Also, in the Curse episode, when they're about to go into Thomas's house, Agumon opens his mouth in surprise, and I remember being really stunned that the dub didn't add a huh or something there. They love the dub and most of its jokes, and they're glad this season they didn't fill every silence with something.
Yeah.
Now, here's the problem. It's been a long time since I watched Savers, so I vaguely remember most of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing if this message on YouTube was probably to an old episode as you catch up, it's going to be a little while till you hear us read this, so sorry for the delay.
Remember, I'm pretty sure in December or November they had just started the podcast, so I feel like they won't be...
That's very impressive, actually.
They'll be up to the current season pretty soon, the way that they've been watching it, or listening. Yeah, I really do like hearing about people who are just listening now and catching up now, because that's it is nice. It feels like the podcast will live on even when we're done, and it's kind of annoying that RSS feeds only keep 255 episodes, because at the current point our podcast I feel like all of our adventure coverage isn't on iTunes because it's more than 255 episodes ago.
Yeah.
So it is nice. It is nice that people are still being able to catch up on the show, and it's I don't know, it is nice.
Alright everybody, join us for the next episode of The Promised Neverland, the world trip for children only, the Digimon train of Dreams,
and Gather Hunters, Digimon competition in the Southern Island,
and Want Friends, Philesmon, that's one's just weird to say it by itself, the Devil's Promise.
So the link dump's linked in the description, and our Redbubble's also linked in the description, and you can get more than just shirts there too. You can contact us and stay updated. You can email us at LostinTranslationmon@gmail.com, or you can comment on this episode or message us on SoundCloud. You can follow us on @TranslationMon on Twitter, and you can find us on LostinTranslationmon on Tumblr, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. We have a discussion thread on With the Will, and a Red thread in Digimon subreddit. And we would appreciate if you review us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and any other podcast listening app that you use. Please do. Ratings assist people finding about the podcast, allegedly, and also they're just fun to read. So please leave us a review if you can. It'll be nice. And we have a website. You can vote in polls, check our release schedule, and check out our blog posts.
And you can donate to our Patreon, which is linked in the description, for as little as $1 a month, which gets you access to our listener Slack chat group, but there are higher levels with more rewards, such as notes, early episodes, and more. And thank you to our current Patreon supporters, Sam Krieger, Joe, Anime Guy, who's Anime Guy Kurosaki and the #1 on YouTube, Chuckmon, Stephen Reeves, who's Wildbook64 on AO3, Kaidawashi, Chisai, who can follow at Chisai236 on Tumblr, Kyle, the Lady Bugman, whose anime blog you can read at baguburagu.wordpress.com, Tom, Tom, Glitchgoat, Matthew, Anthony, who's at AntoClassic on Twitter, Lizmet, who's a Lekmon on Tumblr, Quinn, Sithobi, Megan, Neobu, The Time Optimist, Nicholas, Starry, Keith from the Friends and Firelight podcast, and Reggie, or Reggie. I assume it's Reggie.
My body is Reggie. Anyway, you can also make a one-off donation on a PayPal, which is found linked in the description. It's paypal.me/Appmon. Thanks for listening to the podcast. That's next time. Bye!
Bye-bye!